Hrund left her dream job at the UN, looking for alignment and purpose. If you are a founder or a leader seeking clarity and awareness and trust in uncertainty, then listen in. We're going to explore her path to her dream life through the Icelandic lens of Innsæi.
No matter what the risks are. When I resigned from my dream job and permanent position with the UN, which is a very rare thing to get, it was not a sensible decision, according to anyone. Nobody said to me, "Hrund, that's a great idea," because I just resigned and went completely into the unknown. I had no paycheck in front of me. I did not know how I was going to redefine my journey in life. But still I knew there was something inside me that just, this is what you should do. And there was this deep sense of calmness and this deep sense of knowing that something is right, even if you have no idea how it's going to unfold.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to The Intuitive Leader. My name is Maurice Jenkins, and today I have with me nobody less than Hrund Gunnsteinsdóttir. She's an Icelandic thought leader, author, filmmaker, entrepreneur, and TEDx speaker on topic of intuition and uncertainty. Her work spans roughly 25 years and includes a book, a film, and a university module. She's the author of the book Innsæi, Icelandic Wisdom for Turbulent Times, translated into 12 languages and published last year. Hrund is the co-director and scriptwriter of the documentary Innsæi, The Power of Intuition, published 2016, and she's also designed and directed Prisma, a university diploma program focused on mental agility and purpose in times of uncertainty. She's also a two-time TED speaker, now most recently on her new book, Innsæi. And Hrund has a wealth of professional and educational experience. And she is a trusted coach and advisor to leaders and organizations around the world. She's also an advisory council member at Yale's International Leadership Center. And as a public speaker and moderator, she has appeared on dozens of national media outlets, such as ARD in Germany and CBS News in the US. She's a mother of two daughters, a fanatical skier, and of course, a nature lover, and currently alternating living in Germany and Iceland. Hrund, thank you so much for being here. Such a pleasure to speak to you.
Thank you, Maurice, and likewise. It's such an honor to be on your podcast, and it's so wonderful to discover that you exist in the world, and just that really been admiring the work that you do. So thank you for having me as your guest.
Well, that's likewise. So big welcome.
Thank you.
And to start off, what is intuition to you?
Yeah, that's a good question to start. Intuition to me is this sense of alignment. So just as a general starting point, when I am aligned with my intuition, it's a different energy, and I'm much more able to take decisions with clarity and act with clarity and ease.
Okay.
So alignment to me is something that I feel in my mind and my body. I know how it works. But thinking about intuition, maybe for the listener, they're wondering, like, what does he mean by that? So I quite like the definition that Joel Pearson, the neuroscientist, has offered us recently. You know, there are several ways of defining intuition, of course, but to add that to what I've just said, his definition is intuition is the productive use or learned ability to use unconscious information to take better decisions and actions.
Okay. And then in your version, to be aligned with that. To have a sense of alignment.
Aligned with it. Yeah. So it's a sense of alignment. So to be honest, that's really how I always take like, that's how I always think about when people ask me, what does success mean to you? So that's, for example, success to me. If I feel aligned in the things that I'm doing, I know they're right.
Yeah.
But alignment takes a lot of training and intention, like we know, which we will talk about more.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So, and the work that you're now doing a lot is orbiting around the word Innsæi. And it
Yes.
fits perfectly that you're right now broadcasting from Reykjavik in
Yes.
Iceland. So what does it mean? And how is it related to intuition?
Yeah, so like I absolutely am fascinated with the Icelandic word for intuition.
Yeah, me
And
too.
yes. And I didn't really think about it that much until after I had conversations and done research and read a lot and practiced for a few years and conversed with people mostly in English about intuition. So then I realized that we do have different definitions of intuition depending on schools of thought, like intuition is everything from being an irrational impulse we shouldn't rely on to being something woo-woo that hasn't been backed by science. And then in between all of these, I would find these amazing researches and stories about how fundamental intuition is to our intelligence, and that we actually need good intuition to reason well. And without intuition, there wouldn't be much innovation. So it brought me back to my home ground, Icelandic, and I just saw the word Innsæi for the first time. But this time I looked at how the word is put together, because in Icelandic, we create new words for new things. We don't just kind of adjust foreign words to our language. So just to give the audience a better view on that, if we look at the word, it's in and sæi. In means inside or into, and sæi means to see or the sea. So the way that we started to open up this word almost like a sculpture, mostly through the preparation for the film, is to say Innsæi has a threefold meaning. And today this has become my framework for how to train people to align and hone, or to align with and hone their intuition. So the threefold meaning of Innsæi, the concept is the sea within. And that refers to our ever-flowing unconscious mind. It's the world within us, the world beyond words, the world of imagination, sensation, sensory inputs, what is emerging. And if we put the sea within into boxes or silos, it ceases to flow. And that's a great also framework to think about a flow mind state and things like that. The second meaning is to see within, and that has to do with self-awareness, introspection, metacognition. It's about knowing yourself well enough to be able to put yourself into other people's shoes. That addresses both empathy and creative thinking. But it also refers to our ability to discern intuition from fears, biases, and wishful thinking. And then the third meaning of Innsæi is to see from the inside out. And that takes us to this alignment, the sense of having a strong inner compass as we navigate uncertainty and the ocean of life.
Yeah, beautiful. And I can subscribe to all of these three. I can also hear a little bit of Carl Jung in the first one, the sea within.
Yeah.
And I just love. I have to say, I'm from the Netherlands. I'm
Yeah.
living in Sweden. I just love the way you pronounce the word "say." Can you say it once more?
Innsæi.
In
Sæi.
say. Sounds beautiful. Before you wrote this book, you co-directed the documentary Innsæi,
Yeah.
The Power of Intuition. And I know it's a while ago, but still, what is the core or essential message from the documentary, and what are the differences, if you like, then with the recent book on Innsæi? Is there an evolution in approach or thinking? I haven't
Yeah.
seen the documentary myself. What I have seen is this almost like Native American looking lady at the end of the documentary, and which And she's
end of the
symbolizing to be,
trailer.
yeah, that's a trailer. Yeah, to be silent, right? To listen in, if I understand it correctly. But I'm just curious, would you mind saying a few words about that?
Absolutely. I love this question. Thank you for asking it. So, when I created the concept paper for the film, to present this idea of a documentary film, that was in 2010. And the film came out in 2016. I was making up my mind between doing a PhD on the one hand, or a documentary film that would hopefully be shown around the world. And the goal would be to have a conversation with people I don't know, earthlings, just people that live around the world who are curious about the word intuition, and to give people this permission, inspire them to think about their own intuition. And our question, Kristín Ólafsdóttir is my co-director, and she's the main producer of the film, a very courageous and brilliant filmmaker. Our mission with the film was to ask this question. In today's world, are we disconnected from within, from the world within, from the sea within, from our intuition? And if we are, what impact is it having on our personal lives and the world we live in? So we went on a journey around the world to explore this, from a young age of kids to adult lives, in the form of amazing, wise shaman from Burkina Faso, Harvard business professor, peace negotiator, artist, ocean explorer, very different types of people. So that's very much my approach to intuition as well, is to look at it 360. So the film was about this, to inspire people to just simply think about their intuition and explore the relationship with it, and then to answer these questions: have we become more disconnected? And our findings from the film and through our conversations was, the answer is yes. We've become to a large extent disconnected from our intuition. But we do have increasing levels of burnout, anxiety, depression, and lost souls and disconnection around the world. But we also live in a relatively fragmented world. While it's Earth, it's ecosystem, everything is interconnected, but we've somehow managed to create systems around systems around systems around systems, which is fragmented. Lots of things, which it's time now for us to see how they cohere and relate to each other, I think.
Beautifully spoken, and it brings me actually very naturally to the next topic on uncertainty. So the world is getting ever more shaky for many. There's more uncertainty, and you've been working with this quite a lot, I believe. The combination of intuition and uncertainty, or how to deal with it. And what would you want? What would be your thoughts on that? What's the relationship? Yeah, and maybe also that why would leaders, like business leaders, entrepreneurs, company founders, what could they take away from that? I mean, why listen to intuition and in times of uncertainty?
Great question. So this takes me to this. Just imagine this picture of business leaders. The world around business leaders, if we just keep to that title, is changing super fast. The most important thing in a situation like this is to stay grounded. And staying grounded has to do with presence. So even for a human being to practice presence when the world seems to just be spinning off to somewhere takes discipline and clear intention. When we are present in the now, this is a mindset that enables us to hone in on our experience, knowledge, and expertise in the best possible way. It also makes us most prepared for the unexpected. This we know from martial arts, military history, sports. If you're present in the moment, you are most prepared for the unexpected. Intuition is super important in times of uncertainty, to stay grounded, to be able to hone in on your knowledge, but you have to be grounded in yourself, because if you're not, your mind is going all over the place. But the thing is, when our leaders, our business leaders, are aligned with their intuition, they ask in a way that we feel comfortable sharing an unformed, a thought that is not fully formed, or some sense and sense making around what's happening in the world around us. So I think these are some of this is why we talk about leadership from within, the inner journey of the leader, is to navigate uncertainty, is about, like, intuition just becomes super important, especially when it's domain specific, based on expertise and knowledge and experience. But you can't really have a well-trained intuition muscle unless you've done the work and been self-aware and you are confident in your intuition.
Yeah, thank you. And the two words that jumped out to me, presence and alignment. Because you mentioned that in the beginning, right? When I asked what is intuition and the sense of alignment. And when you are working your way through or navigating your way through uncertainties and unknowns, if I hear you right, the moment where you, as a leader or anybody that has to make a decision, feels aligned with what we are doing right now, even though we don't know for sure. If there is this feeling of alignment, and maybe even stronger, the team feels aligned in that. Doesn't mean that's proof that it's like without faults, but
yes, exactly. Yeah, that's really well put. It doesn't mean that it's without faults or it's perfect, but we also need to remember there is a vast body of research also from the likes of Gerd Gigerenzer and Dr. Ian McGilchrist, and which they base on many other researchers and scientists, which says that even though intuition is not always perfect and 100% correct, whatever that means, economically or emotionally correct, neither is data or analysis or statistics. It always depends on the perspective and how things relate together and how we bring them together. And so the big inner security and calmness and ease and alignment comes from within, always, first and foremost.
Nicely put. Then I wonder if you use intuition, or let me say that your intuition is telling you something to some degree. You have a certain amount of awareness about it, but you decide to move against your intuition, against your better knowing, whatever you want to call it. Do you have an example of that? And I'm wondering, like, how did you experience that? How do you, as a human, how do you feel it?
That's a great question. So, I was thinking about this before we met, and I was thinking, today I'm so used to training. I'm still training myself in how to bring together analysis, reason, intuition, all these different things. And I also sometimes get confused between fear and intuition and all these things. So I have many, like, very small examples of not listening to my intuition, and it usually is not a good idea. When I have had these very big life decisions, confronted with big life decisions, and I've done that several times in my life, just really kind of, really make big decisions that literally change my life. It's a very physical, visceral feeling. I think a lot. Things brew, I'm thinking back and forth, and I dream dreams, and I, go through all these conversations with people, and always back to my intuition. But then one day, there is no turning back, and I just know something is the right decision, no matter what the risks are. When I resigned from my dream job and permanent position with the UN, which is a very rare thing to get, it was not a sensible decision, according to anyone. Nobody said to me, "Hrund, that's a great idea," because I just resigned and went completely into the unknown. I had no paycheck in front of me. I did not know how I was going to redefine my journey in life. But I knew. Still, I knew there was something. Yeah, there was something inside me that just, this is what you should do. And there was this deep sense of calmness and this deep sense of knowing that something is right, even if you have no idea how it's going to unfold.
Okay. Okay, that's alignment then.
You pause and check it, and just to stay really like literally grounded, just to really to be open to hearing what people are saying, because when things get out of hand or they change in the moment and you didn't expect it or you don't want it to go this way. So again, presence prepares you best for the unexpected. So the more you're grounded, the more regulated your nervous system is, the less stressed you become, the better listener you are, and your antenna gets way better. It senses the frequency inside the room, and it keeps you more open to things you don't really want to hear, but it's good for you to hear them and work with them.
Yeah. Yeah, well said. This is really interesting. There are so many avenues we could take from here, but minding of time, we would have to would have to work to. You would have to come back. You don't even. You
I'd
don't
love
have to
to,
write
yeah.
another book for it.
Yeah.
So, if people, you are also working as a coach and an advisor. So, just maybe short for people to understand, when and why do people come to you, and how do you help them?
So most people come to me when they are in the middle of a life transition, whether it's personal life or professional life.
Yep.
People also come to me when they feel like they are not able to fully trust their own judgment, exercise their voice as leaders. People come to me now, like I'm coaching a few people who are leading really, really challenging organizations, which are in the middle of what we call crisis in the world today. And they come to me to stay on course and to be able to read the situation better. And they know they need to change something in their leadership style or in the way that they navigate.
Yeah.
And they want support with that.
Okay. Okay. And where can people find you? I mean, the links will be in this episode. But just if you can say a few words that the listeners will actually hear it.
Yes. So you find me through my full name, Hrund Gunnsteinsdóttir. I know it's not the easiest.
It will be here in the episode, yes.
But if you Google intuition Hrund or intuition Icelandic, you will probably pop up. So my website is going to be your best bet. I'm also active on LinkedIn and to some extent on Instagram. I just really enjoy this journey. And like I said before, Maurice, it's just so great to discover people like you. And also through your podcast, your audience probably know this, but somebody who's new to this podcast through this episode, I want to be the person to say, like, really listen to Maurice's other episodes because they're super interesting. And you're bringing together minds and thinkers and researchers who I think more people should listen to when it comes to intuition and how we are navigating the world today and building a better future.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Hrund. And now I'm also very happy and proud a little bit to have you there as well, right?
Yeah, thank you. Honored.
So, do you have a final piece of advice for people in transition and leaders having to cope with the uncertainty? What would be, if you would have to have one takeaway for them?
My one takeaway for people is align with your intuition, learn how to do that. Mm-hmm. It's actually something that is almost about remembering how to do that. It shouldn't be a feeling of overwhelm. Train yourself to align with your intuition, give you that, and you will reap the benefits in all possible multiple ways. It will have ripple effects on how you show up, your relationships, how you lead, and so on and so forth. I think with change and everything, Maurice, it's like everybody is experiencing a lot of change beyond their control. And it's not always about managing change. It's very much about redefining our relationship with change. And like April Rinne, my friend and author of The Flux, would say, fall in love with change. It's good for you.
Well, on that good note, Hrund, thank you so much for joining. This was a very, very, very pleasant conversation.
Likewise, Maurice. Thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you, Hrund, for such an insightful conversation. To summarize our journey today, Intuition is about presence, about being grounded and following our purpose so we can live with clarity and awareness and a sense of inner peace. As Hrund explained, it is ultimately about being aligned with your life purpose and having the courage to look at the sea within. But for many leaders, the challenge still is, how do you know it's your intuition? How do you trust your intuition during times of deep uncertainty or when you have to make tough decisions? And how do you find that clarity on your life purpose when everything around you seems to be spinning? That is exactly what I help you with through my work. I provide you the tools and the community to help you navigate these transitions in a safe space dedicated to your inner journey. If you're ready to start working on your sense of liberation and alignment, I have a free resource for you. Go to intuitiveleader.net/clarity. You'll find the link in the description below. Thank you for tuning in and see you soon again. Bye for now.